Hey guys, MG here, MGCovers, bringing you a brand new handicapping video. I'm excited about this. A lot of content, good content. Title of the video is going to be Understanding Expected Value and Implied Probability as it relates to sports betting. In layman's terms, what is my line and how do I calculate profit potential? And what's happened in sports betting is that the expected value and implied probability, those are math terms that have been applied to sports betting. What, in my opinion, I think it confuses the average sports bettor. So all you really need to know as it relates to expected value and implied probability is what is on the right-hand side of the screen. What is my line and how do I calculate profit potential? So let's get started. Okay. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. That is kind of my mantra as it relates to sports betting. So many people complicate the process and make it way more difficult than it should be. And I think because there is obviously math involved with sports betting. But what I'm going to do is just try to break this down and make it as simple as possible so you guys can understand what's really important when it comes to numbers. But I am going to touch on expected value and implied probability, but it's not important that you thoroughly know what those two things mean because it can be confusing. So anyway, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a chart. What this is all this chart does is it converts odds to percentages. So you see the first number there at minus 165. So if you see a sports book has a line that says minus 165, that means that the implied probability, that number, that odds converted to a percentage is 62%. So if that was say a money line, a team, you saw a team, say the Boston Red Sox were minus 165, that means the implied probability, or in layman's terms, their chances of winning that game are 62%. Make sense? That's all that is. So all implied probability is you're just basically converting the odds number to a percentage, to a win percentage. Let's go down here and you see if you can find plus 120 down there. So if a team is an underdog and they're listed at plus 120, that means they have a 45% chance of winning that game. That's all that means. Very simple. Now, there is a formula to calculate all of this, which means you can take that plus 120 line, you convert it into a percentage. Anybody that I know that's a professional in sports betting doesn't do all that. I just have a chart that I use every morning when I'm handicapping, and that's all you need. That's all you need to know. You don't need to know how to do it. If you want to Google it and find it out, or you can send me a DM or email, I'll show you how to do it, but it's not necessary. Everybody uses a chart. So let's look at a real life situation. It's an actual game I wagered on. We have the Yankees playing the White Sox. Yankees are the favorite. And if you scroll over to the very end, that is team totals, okay, where it says over 5.5 minus 105 for the Yankees. Chicago White Sox over 3.5 minus 115. So let's break this down. So let's start with the White Sox. Over 3.5 minus 115 means that the sports book, the line for that is the Chicago White Sox over 3.5 minus 115. Oh, we got to convert that. So if you take the minus 115, this is just like Old Maid. There's no math involved. Just go find 115 on the chart. And where is it? Boom, there it is, 53%. So we convert this into a sentence per se. It means the sports book says the Chicago White Sox have a 53% chance of scoring more than 3 runs. Does that make sense? Very simple. Okay. Let's do the Yankees. Over 5.5 is minus 105. So we have to find minus 105 on the chart. This is real hard, right? So minus 105 is 51%. So in layman's terms, the sports book says the New York Yankees have a 51% chance of scoring more than 5 runs. Simple. That's all that is. And that is basically, my friends, that is implied probability. That's all it is. You're just taking the odds number and converting it into a percentage. That's all it is. So you don't even have to know that it's implied probability. Again, implied probability is is a math term that some nerd came up with to give it. But that's all you're doing is you're taking that number and converting it into a percentage. Okay. All right, let's do another one just to make sure we got it. New York Yankees on the run line is -1.5 at -132. Now, if you look on this chart, there's not a -132. So we go in between here. And again, make it simple. You have -135 and -130. The actual line is -132. What is the 132 closest to? It's closest to the 130. So we will say 56%. So the Yankees, the sports book says that the Yankees have a 56% chance of winning this game by 2 runs. Okay. And let's do the Chicago White Sox. Again, Chicago White Sox are +1.5. +1.5 at +112. So that line, if you look in between there, is 48%. So again, you just go in between the 115 and the 110. 112 is closer to 110, so 48%. So that's all that is. You're just matching it up. And if you want this chart, I guess I mentioned it earlier, just send me an email. I can send you a chart that has all the possible numbers, and you can just look at that chart. All right, so let's talk about expected value. The math term you might have seen before is plus EV or minus EV. And all that is, again, I'm going to make this very simple. It's really just value or margin, et cetera. Like if you've worked in retail before, you might have heard of profit margin. What is our profit margin? That's all we're going to, that's what we're going to calculate. I'm going to show you how to calculate margin. And that's all expected value is in a way. Okay. So let's look at back to this real life example. So my line that I had for this game was White Sox over 3.5 runs -150. So I'm not going to talk about how I came up with that line, but there is a formula that I use to create my own lines. And you have to create your own lines in sports betting, because if you don't, how do you know that the -105 line or 115 line was any good? You don't. So my line for the White Sox over 3.5 is -150. So let's go find -150 on the chart, 60%. So in my handicapping, I believe that the White Sox have a 60% chance of scoring more than 3 runs. All right. Very simple, right? Now, the odds for line for that game, as you saw in the previous slide, was -115. So that means the sports book believes that, didn't mean to go ahead. The sports book believes that the White Sox have a 53% chance of scoring more than 3 runs. So there's a difference, right? So this is how we calculate margin. All right. Now, we take the actual formula for this is low number divided by the high number -1 equals our value. Okay. Or margin. So if we take that example, we have 2 numbers, 150 and 115. What's the lower number? The lower number is 115. So we divide 115 by 150. That equals 0.76. You subtract 1. So the value there, or margin, is 24%. Okay, pretty simple. So that's how we determine whether or not this is going to be a play or not. A lot of times, if any of you are in the stock market world, this is sort of a similar term that you might hear people use when they talk about value, or sometimes you'll see, 15% margin or 24% value. They use that term in the stock market as well when analyzing stocks. All right. So let's use a real layman's term to keep it simple. If you walked into Best Buy and they had a nice pair of headphones retailed for $150, but they had it on sale for $115, would that be a good deal? Yes, it would. So it's real simple. Okay. So I'm just trying to show you the relationship between the 150 and the 115. So again, you say, hey, how much are the headphones? The headphones are $150, but we have them on sale for $115. That's a significant discount. That's a 24% discount. So there's a big margin in between that. Same deal in sports betting. We want a big margin or a significant amount. Okay. Did I do that right? Yeah. Okay. Expected value part 2. This is why you lose long term. This is kind of a second part to all this. Now, this is very important. You can do this for any game. And this will really make a lot of sense to a lot of you. Hypothetically, let's pretend that these two teams play 10 games under the exact same conditions, which means, again, this is hypothetical. We're just going to pretend that we're going to use the same pitcher, same lineup. It's just a hypothetical situation. Okay. We're just trying to simulate these two teams playing 10 games under these same conditions, same odds, etc. Okay. All right. So our line, remember, predicts the White Sox have a 60% chance of scoring more than 3.5 runs. So how we calculate that, as far as sports betting goes, if we play 10 games, we would win 6 times. How do I come up with that? If we're playing 10 games, 10 times, you have to convert 60%. So you have to move the decimal 2 spots. So it'll be 10 times 0.60, 6 wins. We're just assuming it's $100 better. 6 times 100, we win $600. Okay. Does that make sense? Absolutely. And one thing too, to point out, this is kind of I'm gonna make a point about it. I'll cover this in another video, but in sports betting, what we do is all I'm trying to do is analyze. I'm trying to come up with the quote implied probability. Every team has a chance. There's no such thing as a lock. All we're doing as a sports bettor is we're trying to come up with a percentage chance they have to win, right? Or the percentage they have to lose. Everybody has a chance, whether it's a 10% chance, 60% chance, 70% chance, 40% chance, etc. What we're trying to do as a sports bettor is we're trying to figure out what we believe the correct chance to believe, what the correct percentage chance is, and compare that against what the odds say. And that's how we find value. So keep that in mind. All right. So we win 6 times, $600. So we're going to lose 4 games. Okay. So we lose 4 games. We're going to take 4 times 115. Why do we multiply it times 115? That's what the odds were, right? Minus 115. So if we lose, that's the amount of juice that we pay. 4 times 115 is $460. Okay. Now, this is our expected value. Expected value is 600 minus 460 equals $140. So that's good. So that's how you determine whether or not, hey, this is a good play or not. All right. Pretty simple. You just hypothetically pretend they're going to play 10 games. They win 6 times 100 is 600. We lose 4 of those games. You got to multiply 4 times the amount of juice that we paid, which is 115. That equals 460. So the long-term expected value would be $140. You don't have to use the term expected value. I just threw that out there so that you guys would know what that is. All right, now let's pretend the line for the White Sox at the sports book is over 3.5 minus 142. Okay. So the margin would be, we take the little number, put it there first, the low number, and then divide it by the big number, 150, and that equals 0.94. Minus 1 equals a 6% margin. All right. So if you walked into Best Buy and they said, hey, these headphones are $150, we got them on sale, really good deal, $142. Would that be a really good deal? No, it's only a 6% difference or discount. See what I'm saying? We do the same thing in sports betting. We're looking for good deals. 6% is not a good deal. So let's calculate the hypothetical 10 game using the minus 150 line. Okay. So 6 wins is going to equal $600, just like before, right? So what I'm doing here is just so you guys know, this is different. So all right, let me back that up. Sorry, I might have confused you guys. So the minus 150 line I just used that 142 just so I could come up with a formula. So let's say that my line for the game is minus 150. This is the mistake people make. My line for the game is minus 150. And you go to the sports book and you see that their line is the exact same. Their line is minus 150. People will actually play this game, and this is the mistake people make. Okay. So watch this. So 6 wins, we win $600. Okay. That's a good thing. But here's what people don't realize when they lose, even only losing 4 games, right? Because we believe they have a 60% chance of winning. So you lose 4 times. If the line at the sports book is minus 150, you lose 4 games. That's $600. 600 minus 600 is what? It's zero. Zero. You make no money. This right here is one of the biggest mistakes people make. That's why you see I always refer to a lot of people playing heavy favorites, heavy juice. You just can't win long term because of this math formula that I just showed you. Okay. You just can't win. I mean, it's not my opinion. It's just basic math. Okay. So take it a step further. Let's say and people do this too. They pay, I'll give you the scenario. Let's say the line was minus 170. Before you look at this formula, just listen to me. Let's say you go into Best Buy. Would that be a way to do it? Let's say you go into Best Buy and you see some headphones. Or no. Let's say you search online and you saw, let's say your buddy saw some headphones online for $150. You saw some headphones online for $150. Well, your buddy comes to you and says, hey man, I just bought these headphones at Best Buy for $170. You would say, dude, what are you doing? You could have bought those online for $150. You overpaid for that. That was dumb. See how that works? And the same thing works in sports betting. So if the line was 170 and then the 170 at the sports book, our line was minus 150, you're overpaying for the line. What happens when you overpay for the line? You lose money long term, even more than just paying like even on the minus 150 example. 4 times 170, 680 minus 600, you lose $80 in that long term. So hopefully this sort of explains it. If you've got questions, let me know. It's kind of 2 parts. The first part was kind of margin. I showed you how to calculate margin. I talked about implied probability, expected value, blah, 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 blah. You don't really need to know those terms, expected value. All you need to know how to do is number 1, create your own line, compare that line to the sportsbook line to find the margin, and then be able to do this formula that I just showed you to see what your long-term expected money that you can make. So hopefully that video helps and clears it up. Last line, majority of people that wager overpay and therefore lose long-term. Hope you liked that video. If you do, give it a like. Also subscribe to the channel. You can find me on Instagram, MGCovers, spelled with a Z. Facebook, MGCovers, spelled with a Z. Website, MGCovers.com. And also in the description box, if you have a question or a situation or something you'd like for me to cover, please list that in the comments below. Hope everybody has a great day. Talk to you soon. Peace.